All right, Thomas. Let's go ahead and get into these predictions. Um, First of
Awesome.
all, I don't know if you're drinking anything tonight, but I am drinking
I might as
a.
well. I got a little Bud Light orange right here. Might as well just go ahead and crack it open. Oh, fun fact.
Fair enough.
Did I drink a Bud Light orange last week?
I
Yeah, I did.
remember you drinking Bud Light or something like that. I am drinking a
Yeah, I did. I
coffee
did.
because it's 11 o'clock at night. Um, I don't really feel like drinking beer. I
Oh,
probably shouldn't be drinking a coffee either, but I don't want to be yawning through this whole podcast. So,
I feel it.
yep. We are coming at you immediately after the end of the Bills Patriots game. So
Pictures got
all
smacked.
of the games have been taken care of. All the games have been finished, and we don't really. Me and Thomas both got that one right, so I don't want to spend too long on
I mean, who
this
cares?
one.
You know?
But that was that right there was a that right there was like 10 years of frustration. Let me rephrase: 20 years of frustration by the Bills pent up, and they put a hurting on the Patriots. That was not nice. I think they should apologize for that. 38-9, man. I mean, I don't know. I've seen bigger blowouts in the past, I suppose, but that's still that gives you the idea. That was the Bills' revenge game. Like, hey, Patriots, you're down. Let me kick you while you're down. You've been doing that to us for 20 years.
Yo,
So,
by the way, I'm still
um,
getting flacked about that video that I posted yesterday. just
what
on a
video?
side note, like I'm still getting some flack. It's funny though. It's funny, but like the one with me sleeping,
Oh, the
listening
one
to
where
Lauren
you.
Hill. Yeah, the one I'm sleeping. Like you know the one I'm sleeping. I'm sitting there sleeping in bed. Like how I slept last night with the Browns. I'm
Yeah.
still getting shit for it.
How'd you sleep this? How'd you sleep last night
I
with the
slept well.
Browns?
The Cavs are 3-0. Shout out to the Cavaliers.
Well, that's not okay. I don't know, man. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's like FC Cincinnati, the Reds. I don't know the Kentucky basketball. I don't think any of that like having a good season would make the Bengals having a bad season feel any better.
Yeah, nah, dude. Like, well, I guess being from Cleveland. First of all, I can't even say the best. They're 10-5, so I'm gonna just say that.
Well, no, but you lost to the Jets and you
Yeah, I mean,
lost the
shit
division.
happens. I mean, fact of the matter is, I said it earlier on the podcast. Y'all beat the Steelers in the playoffs. Everybody will forget y'all lost to the Jets. Everybody but the haters, but haters gonna hate. So who cares? So y'all go ahead and handle your business on Sunday. Y'all should be
I
fine.
mean, ultimately, the only thing you're really losing is like one home playoff game because other than that, you might not have too many home playoff games. But the actual opponents that you're going to face are all like everybody in the AFC playoffs is going to be dangerous this year. There's no strategic
Yeah,
positioning for that at all.
yeah, no, shoot. I mean, like you gotta win 11 wins to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea how how
This isn't
tough
this
this
isn't the
conference is.
NFC where like the Washington football team is going to make it in with this 7-9 record.
Dude, I mean, you think about it. Um, you think about it. Who's the top seed in the NFC right now? Green Bay. What are 12 wins?
Packers, yeah.
Yeah, they're 12. They're at 12 wins, right?
Hmm. Most
I mean,
likely
like
going to
one
be
more
at
loss.
13, but
If the Packers lost one more game, right? Let's say the Packers just lost one more game, they
mhm.
would barely be a wild card team in the AFC. Like, that's how competitive the AFC is this year. You got to win 11
I don't know
games to
about
get into the
that.
play. Yeah, because they'd be
I don't
11
know
and
about
5.
that. The Steelers and Bills are both 12 and both have the same record as the Packers
That's
right
true.
now.
That's true. That's true. I mean,
But anyway, to kind of to recap how last week went, for once, I did better than Thomas, and it's that is a good way to kind of start wrapping up the season. Although I mean, we're going to still do these predictions through the playoffs and everything like that. But I'm just glad that I finally had a better week than you.
Hey man,
I've been
look,
waiting
I
for that.
say
I've been
we
keeping
restart our records when we get to playoffs.
do what?
I said we restart our records when we get to playoffs. I said we restart
sure.
our records when we get to playoffs.
Why not? That's how the
Wanna do
playoffs
that?
work in the NFL, right?
I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, playoff predictions are a lot different. I think it's gonna be a lot tougher. So, hey, you know what?
I mean,
Look,
on top of
the only
that,
thing
it's
that matters is
not even
playoffs.
really
So,
all that. Like, I mean, there's only like 2 or 3 games per week, so it's not even really all that interesting if you don't do it like that. So yeah, I agree with
yeah.
you. Let's have a playoff record too. But
So, all right.
anyway,
So, hey, man, look. So, you can beat me in the playoffs.
maybe
Ooh, why don't we spice this up a little bit?
what?
You want to spice this up a little bit? You want to
What do you want to do?
Ooh. Okay. Ooh, what should you do if you lose? And what should I do if I lose?
How about a jersey bet?
You want to do a jersey bet? Okay, we'll do a jersey. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. All right.
if I win, you got to send me a Joe Burrow jersey. If you win, then I'll send you a Baker
Yes.
Mayfield jersey. Well, you probably already got one of those.
Oh, there's got to be Baker. Okay, cool. We'll do that.
Who do you
We'll do a
want?
jersey bet. I don't know. I'd probably do Baker, actually. Maybe Jarvis. I'm a big Jarvis fan, but I should probably do Baker because, I don't have a Baker jersey,
I'll
and
send you
I do them black Baker
if
Mayfields.
if you lose, I'll send you a Johnny Manziel jersey.
You can probably find one for $10.
So anyway, getting on to these predictions. Like I said, I bested Thomas this week, going 10-6 on the week. I almost did better. We'll talk about that in a minute. Thomas went 8-8 this week. So Thomas on the season is 85-37-1, and I'm 73-49-1. So I'm probably not going. The only way I could possibly catch up, I'm gonna have to go insane with some of my predictions next week because I need to pick at least 13 games differently than you next week to have a chance to win this thing.
Yeah.
So it's still possible. So you're saying there's a chance. But that's probably not going to happen. We both got the Browns losing to the Jets wrong because that didn't seem likely. We both got the Steelers beating the Colts wrong. We both got the Cowboys beating the Eagles wrong. I think we both bought into the Jalen Hurts hype, and he just he wasn't enough to take on my boy Andy Dalton.
It wasn't that I bought into the Jalen Hurts hype. It's the fact that I just bought into the hype that the Cowboys suck.
Yeah, well, that was part of the thing for me. I didn't see any. Now I got to give the Cowboys credit. Like I hate their coach. The only thing I really like is their quarterback, and even then, their quarterback's not inspiring. He's Andy Dalton. He's all right. He's enough for the Bengals.
Don't like the owner.
19.
Don't like the general manager for that matter, because the owner and the general manager are the same person. Don't like the coach. I used to like Zeke, but I mean, who likes Zeke anymore? Zeke is like a fad. Like Ezekiel Elliott was like a fad. That's all he was. He was a fad. He was just hot for a minute. Hey man, everybody got them Zeeks on. It's not 2017 no more. Nobody likes Zeke no more. Nobody wears Zeke
never
anymore.
Really liked Zeke. Even coming out of college, and I was proven wrong in fairness, but even coming out of college, I didn't think Zeke was gonna be as good as he ended up being.
Yeah, 2 good years
right away. But anymore, he's kind of shown what I was talking about. He's just he. I felt like coming out, Zeke was just not the kind of guy who could handle getting as many carries as the Cowboys were going to want to give him. And so far, it seems to be right.
His first year was he was a monster. He's like the opposite of Derrick Henry. The opposite of Derrick Henry.
I think we generally had about the same reasoning on this one. Jalen Hurts and the Cowboys are terrible. Like, I mean, they're like literally. I'm looking at like when I look at the Cowboys roster, I don't see anything to really get excited about. Maybe in the long run, you got CeeDee Lamb and and Dak Prescott's going to be back eventually, and um, man, that might be it. They don't have anything on defense, man. I don't know. They managed to win this game pretty decisively though. Like, I mean, they did not let Jalen Hurts get a whole lot accomplished. I mean, he ended up with 342 passing yards and 69 rushing yards, but he only threw for one touchdown. He threw for two interceptions. So like while they it was kind of like a bend but don't break defense. They let him do quite a bit, but then when it came crunch time, they shut him down. They shut the whole Philadelphia offense down for real.
I was impressed by the Cowboys. I thought I'd never say that in my life.
I was impressed by the Cowboys in like the idea of I thought that they were going to fall on their asses. Now, it's not that I think the Eagles are a good team. What I felt was the Eagles were looking a little better lately, and the Cowboys were looking consistently terrible. But I mean, if the Cowboys get a surprise win next week, who do they play next week? That actually might not be as much of the Giants. So yeah, they could beat the Giants. The Cowboys could beat the Giants next week, and the Cowboys finish the season 7-9.
The Cowboys can make the playoffs.
That is, yeah.
The Cowboys can make the playoffs, and the Browns could miss the playoffs.
The Cowboys could absolutely. Andy Dalton, my boy, Andy Dalton could absolutely. No, he couldn't. No, he couldn't. I think the Cowboys are eliminated. Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. I'm stupid. If the Eagles beat the football team next week and the Cowboys win, then they make the playoffs. So this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, and the Browns might end up 10-6 and out of the playoffs.
Oh my god! Oh my god! The Browns better win next week. There's gonna be an AFC team. There could be 11-win team could possibly miss the playoffs this year in the AFC. That's a real possibility. Like if the Titans, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Colts all win, the Colts will miss the playoffs.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, they would. If all 4 teams win, the Colts are the odd man win.
Okay. If you forgot to say the Dolphins. If the Dolphins
I'm sorry.
To win too.
Yeah, the Dolphins. I'm sorry. The Dolphins are good this year. I just got off of work, guys. I'm sorry. You can see it in my eyes.
If all 5 of those teams win, if all 5 of those teams win, then the Colts will miss the playoffs at 11-5, and Andy Dalton will lead the Alex Smith will lead. Well, Andy Dalton or Alex Smith will lead their team to an NFC East championship. What?
Hey, your microphone's doing crazy stuff.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's like really like fuzzy.
Yeah.
Your microphone's been doing some crazy stuff, man. It was just
let me switch to this meter mic.
I've been drinking. I'm sorry. We're still recording this too. You got to edit this out, man. Will the Bears make the playoffs?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Good.
Okay. That's better?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. I gotta figure. I got this. I got this. Like I said, my wife got me this new microphone, and it's really nice, but it's not quite collaborated yet. So I'm gonna have my buddy over, and we're gonna try to get the kinks worked out. But I do have this old microphone on backup until that happens.
Good.
But
Good.
where did I leave off? Oh, the fucking Cowboys or the football team are going to make the playoffs at 7-9. One of those teams will make the playoffs at. Well, wait, actually, hold on.
Nope. If they
Okay,
both
no,
lose, then one can make the playoffs at 6-9.
But if they both lose, then the Giants make the playoffs at 6-10.
Oh my God, that's so horrible. And that's a very good possibility.
That means a team with 5 more wins. 5. The Bengals don't even have 5 wins this year. Like all of the wins the Bengals have, more wins separate the winner of the NFC East and the potential loser of the AFC wildcard race.
More teams.
5. There's 5 fingers. 5.
You know, the craziest thing is that that's more 5 wins is more wins than the Eagles even have.
Yeah, the Eagles are 4-9-1. Now I do believe the Eagles are eliminated from the playoffs. So.
Yeah, they are. They are officially. I think who isn't eliminated from the playoffs. Here go a good one. Here, you're gonna like this, Kyle. The Bears.
Yeah, I know. We will talk about the Bears.
The Bears.
Well, actually, you know what? We don't have much of an opening to talk about the Bears because I think we both predicted that game correctly.
Yeah. So I mean, like,
let's go ahead and talk about it now.
Kyle, since I'm your partner, can I be the first one to give you your proper dues?
About Mitch Trubisky?
I'm sorry for laughing at you about the Bears. It was Alex. Alex made the jokes. He's the one who said, I said the Bears stock is plummeting like the stock market in 1928. I made a history joke. He's the one who told you to just jump out the window.
Well, listen, I understand where Alex is coming from because it was a little off the wall to me to predict the Bears to beat the Packers, like from a matchup standpoint, from et cetera, in that week, based on things that were going on at that time. Literally, the only reason I picked the Bears to beat the Packers is because I was like, it's the Mitch effect. Got to get the Mitch effect. And it didn't really work out there. But other than that, I have been right, and I doubted myself for a minute, and I paid the price on my predictions. But I'm telling you, man, Mitch Trubisky doesn't care if nobody. The football gods don't care if Mitch Trubisky is terrible. They're just gonna give him wins because they hate you.
Now, I think the funniest thing is the Bears, they snugged the last playoff spot. So I just want to give you my proper dues to you because the Bears, they survived the Great Depression into World War II. They used Ford and General Motors to build their economy back up. And now their stock is going right back into the right direction as they soar into a possible playoff berth. Go Bears.
Which is funny because the Ford family owns the Lions.
Apparently, the Bears on the Lions.
But the Bears own the entirety of like NFL fans' visceral hatred. Like everybody who doesn't have a sense of humor hates the Bears right now. Which by the way, you know, we are potentially we could potentially count them two of the I mean you've been talking about how much better the AFC is than the NFC this year, and I will say 2 teams from the NFC, the number 2, not 1, like an unprecedented number, which is 2 teams could make the playoffs for the NFC who did not win more games than they lost. Like you could get the Chicago Bears making the playoffs at 8-8
Yeah.
and the New York Giants making the playoffs at 6-10. That is a real thing that could really happen next week. That is a
Well, you
real,
thought
genuine thing that could genuinely, really happen.
you thought that probably when you expanded the seeds to 7 seeds, you thought that would happen. And most years, it probably would happen or something close to that in the AFC. The thing is that the AFC is so freaking top heavy this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's just you can't ignore how good the AFC is on the top.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's there's some, like you said, you always say, the thing that even the conference is out is you have those teams at the bottom, like the Bengals, Houston, and the Jets and the Jaguars. I still think the Bengals aren't. I think the Bengals are one of the better. Like, you look at all the bad teams. I think the Bengals are one of the better bad teams. Or the I think the Chargers is the best bad team in the league. If that makes sense.
Mm.
Like, you look at all the teams that are just bad right now, record-wise. Like all the teams that are 6-9 and worse. I think the team that's the best out of all of them is the Chargers. Personal opinion. I think the Chargers are going to be dangerous next year. But I think the Bengals are probably the second or third out of that group. I think the Bengals are literally right there. Yeah. I think the Bengals are real close to taking off, man. I do not. That's why I thought you guys were going to win more games against the AFC East than y'all did, because I thought that you guys are just a better team than the AFC East. But I think
AFC
that
East.
not AFC East, NFC East.
Okay.
I think that one thing the problem that the Bengals had this year was when Joe Burrow got injured. I think it mentally tore up the Bengals team toughness, but they're starting to get it back. They won 3 in a row.
It did
2 in a
for
row.
a couple of weeks, but I mean, to be honest, we've been doing better without Joe Burrow than we have with Joe Burrow. And it's not because Brandon Allen's better than Joe Burrow. It's because Zach Taylor finally figured his shit out.
Maybe that's the best thing that happened.
But you know what? I'll take that. I'll take that over any Penei Sewell, Trevor Lawrence, friggin' Jalen Waddle. I don't like. You can give me literally. You can name literally any draft pick, any draft scenario, and I would take Zach Taylor figuring his shit out over any of that, because that's what we have right now. Well, like, our biggest problem is the fact that we don't have a lot of depth on this team, so we need multitude of picks. We don't so much need a pick. We need depth, and we need our head coach to finally get his head out of his ass. And if he's finally doing that, then you know what? I'll take that over any draft scenario you can come up with.
Yeah.
So, the next game that we both got wrong, outside of the we got combined, we did not do well at all on the AFC North, but we'll address that at the end.
I should. Man.
I was incorrect that, and I a lot of people laughed at me. I can't remember if you did or not, but I got a lot of messages on Facebook about, like, are you insane, when I picked the Falcons to beat the Chiefs? But excuse me, they almost did it. Now they didn't. And I was kind of trying to go a little big brain here. I was thinking, oh well, the Chiefs, I think, like you said, I think the Chiefs had, maybe they don't now, but I thought they had one more loss left in them, and I thought the Falcons were way better than what their record indicates. What they have trouble doing is following through with wins, which is, by the way, what happened this week. But they held Patrick Mahomes to 278 yards and 2 touchdowns and an interception. They held the Kansas City Chiefs offense to 17 points, and they only really lost. Well, I mean, maybe in overtime they would have lost. Who knows? But not the way their defense was playing, though. But they drove down the field, and then what's his name, Younghoe Koo, missed a 39-yard field goal. Like I guess their young kickers that they just imported Randy Bullock for a week. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they almost pulled it off, and if they had, I would have been coming on to this podcast And I would have been like, just like you last week with the Bengals beating the Steelers, I would have been like flaunting myself around, like I call that one. And you know what? They almost goddamn did it. So you know what? I'm not even mad that I take the L on this one. The fact that I called that one and it almost happened, I feel good about that.
It's dude, it's the after the season's over, I'm gonna do a montage video of the top 5 biggest upsets called on this podcast. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the funniest thing about this podcast. The big upset of the week is probably one of my favorite things about doing this podcast because, like you said, it's like the game that you think, hey, I think this is gonna happen. It's the one game you can pick and you could explain why. And the thing is that you weren't too far off though. Like you was only off by a field goal. I still think that's a W in some sense because you weren't you weren't off, you weren't far off, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, but there's been some really big upsets called in this game. Like when I called that upset against the Ravens against Patriots, called that one.
Yeah.
Go on
So
though.
the like I said, I had a feeling about that one, and my feeling wasn't too far off, but
Yep.
didn't end up working out for me. But next game that I got wrong, um, and there's actually only two that I got wrong. Wait, no, okay, there's three that I got wrong that you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the last one that I got wrong that you didn't was the Packers versus Titans. I thought the Titans would win because of two words: Derrick Henry. And that Packers defense has not fared well against strong running backs this year. And I thought
Yeah.
Derrick Henry was about to go like off, like three or four of those stiff arm highlights he's been having all season. I thought that's what we were gearing up for. And to be honest with you, Ryan Tannehill looked better than Derrick Henry did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, actually, well, no, no. Yeah, actually, you can make the argument that he didn't. Ryan Tannehill actually had a pretty off game. But Derrick Henry didn't do a whole lot either. He got 98 yards rushing, but he only averaged 4.3 yards per rush, and he didn't get in the end zone. Ryan Tannehill got in the end zone. Um, on the flip side, Aaron Rodgers threw four fucking touchdowns. AJ
Aaron
Dillon
Rodgers looked like he's
rushed
trying to win
for two.
himself a Super Bowl.
Do what?
Like, I mean, like I know, like he just, man, he looked like he looked special this year, man.
Yeah.
Like Aaron Rodgers just look special this year. Like how like there's some years because like I feel like quarterbacks I feel like all quarterbacks they kind of like plateau, right? They have like the first 5 seasons of a quarterback, especially when we talk about these superstar quarterbacks like the Aaron Rodgers, the Russell Wilsons of the world, Tom Brady's of the world, and Peyton Manning's of the world, like or the Drew Brees of the world. Like they don't win Super Bowl every year. Like these are players who just like they're just good. Like it's so hard to win in the NFL because it's
Mm.
always somebody new. So like there might be they have down years or they have below average years, right? Like they're like year where they're like 29 years old through like 32, right? They already solidified themselves in the league as starting quarterbacks, but they're not going to win a Super Bowl because I mean like they might have like a good year, but there's some years they have better years than others. If you get what I'm getting at, right? That kind of sounds weird, but for example, the year that Tom Brady broke 50 touchdowns, right? He didn't do that more than once. I mean, I don't know. I sound crazy right now. I've been drinking.
Yeah. No, no, not like now. Aaron Rodgers has been absolutely having a season for the ages. Like when he goes to the Hall of Fame one day, this is going to be one of those seasons. Even if they don't win the Super Bowl, this is going to be one of those seasons where they use as evidence why he should be in the Hall of Fame. Because I mean,
He's
he is absolutely going on a tear this year, and
well,
he,
he don't want
he
to get Aaron Rodgers by another quarterback.
no.
Pretty much what he's doing.
All right, so um, now let's get into the games that you got wrong that I got right.
I'm ready to defend
which,
myself. I am ready to defend myself.
well, I'm gonna enjoy talking about these for fucking once.
Oh, by the way,
So
real quick, you were wrong about the Bengals.
yeah, I know. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later.
Okay, cool.
I
All
will
right.
explain why my thought process was with the Bengals, and we'll get into that. We'll get into it. We actually talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but let's start with the 49ers and Cardinals.
Okay.
Now, this one, I'll give you a little bit of a pass on. This one was kind of, it wasn't my big upset of the week because you know what my big upset of the week was. But this one, I figured this one was going to be kind of an upset, but I still kind of saw it coming. Um, but you picked the Cardinals. So what was
Yeah.
your reasoning on that one?
I'm gonna be real with you, man. I thought, okay, I didn't want to believe that. A lot of people have been saying that Kyler Murray has been like slipping, and I just put it up to like, man, he's just having a rough couple of weeks. Because like, if I'm being real, I think I subscribe to the motion that a lot of quarterbacks habits comes from the university that you played at,
Mm-hmm.
and the coaching staff that you played at in college. So like, if I hear that Kyler Murray's slipping, considering the fact that Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray went to the same college, I would probably see some deficiency or look for deficiencies in Baker Mayfield that Kyler Murray's having. But that's like a superstition idea. I just kind of believed in Kyler Murray. I thought Kyler Murray would get himself back on track. I don't think that I didn't want to think that teams trying to figure him out or trying to work around him and distract his magic. But the fact is he didn't have a touchdown last week.
Well, here's
Not,
the
not
thing
passing.
about Kyler. He has been like the very definition of erratic in his consistency lately. It's
I'm
like
about to say that
one
his
week he has a
consistency is
great
horrible right now.
game, one week he has a bad game, one week he has a great game, one week he has a bad game. And last week was a great game for him, so this one was bound to be a bad game. And for the sake of the Cardinals playoff hopes, that should probably mean he'll have a great game next week. Um, but one thing I didn't know going into this game, but would have just solidified my assumption that the 49ers are going to win this game even further. Now, I picked the 49ers because, Kyle Shanahan has got this team playing hard, and I think the Cardinals have been trending in the wrong direction lately, and, Kyler Murray being erratic with his efficiency lately. But the thing that would have solidified it for me if I had known that this was going to happen, but George Kittle came back. George Kittle's
Yeah.
been out with a broken foot for quite a long time this season, and I mean he didn't get in the end zone, but the 49ers quarterback right now is C.J. Beathard because of all the crap that's going on with their quarterback situation. But C.J. Beathard was I can't remember. He was either George Kittle's quarterback at Iowa or he just went to college at the same time as George Kittle. I can't remember exactly which one, but either way, those two got some pretty, good chemistry that you would expect anyway. So I would think having somebody like George Kittle to dump the ball off at that, like if I had heard that was going to happen, I wouldn't have hesitated picking San Francisco. But I think we also didn't know that was going to happen until right as the game started or something like that.
Yeah. I didn't know. I just thought, I just thought the Cardinals could beat a bad team and solidify their playoff hopes. But it happens to
So
do the Browns still.
a lot of playoff teams not looking like they should this week, but like a team that I do expect to make the playoffs, but that I knew wasn't going to win this week, that you thought was going to win this week, is the Washington football team. Um, the Ron Rivera revenge game that didn't happen.
Yeah.
The Dwayne Haskins game that got him cut, by the way.
See, I was gonna make a joke about that, but then you kind of beat me to the punch.
Yeah.
Line. Punchline.
Is Alex Smith hurt? Is that what's going on here?
Like, I'm guessing, I gotta.
Yes,
I've been going. This is my second bottle, dude. If you haven't noticed, I've been drinking these things pretty quickly.
They had a guy named Taylor Heineke. I've never even heard of him before. They had him throw 19 pass attempts. So let's see.
Oh yeah, they
Taylor,
benched Hackins. Hackins, they're throwing a little. He was just throwing like he was just throwing little air balls up in the air. He was like, what was that game used to be called? What was that game used to be called? Where you throw the ball up in the air and you say like 350. Ugh, throw the ball up in the air, and then you gotta catch the ball to get to like 1,000, whatever. What is it called? Jackpot or something like that. And like
not sure.
that's pretty much what he did. He was just throwing the ball up. 350.
Taylor,
Ugh.
the guy who ended up being the quarterback for the Washington football team by the end of the game, Taylor Heineke, I think it's Heineke, might be, played quarterback for Old Dominion in college. I didn't even know they had a football team. And he's been in the league since 2015. I've never even heard of this guy. And he briefly played with the St. Louis Battlehawks earlier this year in the XFL, but he's mostly been in the NFL. I've never heard of this guy in my life before.
Yeah.
But he's been in the league since 2015. What the hell?
Never heard of him either. He must be very good at being just bad enough.
Well, you know what? He ended up with a 102.3 quarterback rating.
Oh, well, I mean,
he completed 12 of his 19 pass attempts for 137 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions, only took 1 sack. So he didn't do too bad.
I mean, he been in the league for a long ass time. I hope so.
Making literally no impact. To the point that I haven't even heard of him. That's when I haven't heard of a player of the NFL. That's special.
There's probably a lot of players in the NFL who's just chilling, who just plays just enough to keep the career alive, but not enough to really do anything. That's how you be, man.
Usually when a guy makes a roster, I hear about him. Like somewhere along the line. Like this guy has been not just a practice squad player. He's been, I mean, like I think 2017 he was only on like the Patriots practice squad or something like that. But outside of that, when he's been in the NFL, he's made the roster. So I'm confused. I'm like, why have I never heard of this guy before? Because like I said, usually when a player is on an active roster, I've heard of him. Whether it be because I'm just like scrolling through the waiver wire on fantasy or whatever. Like, you think that name wouldn't just be completely foreign to me if he's been in the league since 2015. But that's the quarterback situation in Washington, and that's why Dwayne Haskins got cut, because like we can't even trust you over Taylor Heineke. That's how bad it's gotten over there.
You can say that Heineke's a little light.
Moving on. Boo. Moving on. Thomas,
I am about to open up another one of these. This is the third one since we started the podcast, but fourth one since I got home. So I'm feeling myself a little bit.
So Thomas, at work today. You picked the Los Angeles Rams to beat the Seattle Seahawks, and there was this little issue for the Rams in that they did not show up.
Why are you coming after me?
They scored drunk 9 points.
Why are you gonna come at me like this while I'm drunk, man? Like, why are you gonna come at me like this? I don't know. I can't defend the Rams, man. I can't defend the Rams. I didn't know. I didn't think. I can't defend the Rams, man. I can't.
The Rams. Look, the reason why I figured the Seahawks would win this game is exactly what happened, and it's that the Rams have no offense. And that is what happened.
Offense, man. I don't know why.
Barely over 300 yards of total offense this week. Jared Goff ended up with a 61.6 quarterback rating.
Broken thumb.
No individual player gained over 100 yards in individual skill player. Um,
You remember when Sean McVay was considered this like football savant?
well, he's still. I still think that Sean McVay is doing an incredible coaching job there in Los Angeles because really they don't have a lot of talent in
That's
Los
true.
Angeles. Like there's
I
there's a
think he's not a
couple of
bad
guys.
coach.
There's Aaron Donald. There's like Cooper Cup's pretty talented.
No, he's not a
Um,
bad coach at all. He's a good coach.
no,
I
he's
just
doing.
think that
I think he's doing an incredible job. It's just they got themselves into salary cap trouble. Jalen Ramsey's there, so he's pretty good. But they got themselves into salary cap trouble, and now they have a team that just basically has no talent.
who do you think is the best coach in that division? We say Shanahan.
Um, Weird that division. Everybody in that division is a good coach except Kingsbury.
Yeah, I mean, like
And
it's
even
hard not to
even
say
then,
Pete Carroll
Kingsbury
though.
isn't terrible. I don't know if he's the guy.
It's hard not to say Carroll though. It's really hard not to say Carroll.
Well, Carroll was my first thought just because of how much he's done. But at the same time, if you're talking about who's the best coach right now, I might still say Sean McVay. Just because I really don't think that Rams team has enough talent. The Rams team should have a similar record to the Bengals right now. They really should, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're 9-6, and they're not going to make the wait. No, yeah, they're in control of the playoff
Wait, well,
spot. They're going to
yeah,
make the
well.
playoffs despite having a similar level of talent to the Bengals. That's pretty impressive. I think Sean McVay is currently the best coach in that division, even though they lost this week. But every coach in that division, except for Cliff Kingsbury, I think is an elite coach.
Shanahan got a lot of stock in my book.
Shanahan's great. Next up, we got the final game that I want to hear your perspective on because you got it wrong, which was the Dolphins and the Raiders. You picked the Raiders to win that game over the Dolphins.
Okay, first of all,
wasn't too far off. It wasn't a bad
First of all,
prediction.
before you say anything else about this game, let me say this. Las Vegas, Oklahoma, whatever city you are in, I don't care. Raiders, y'all need to go to hell. F y'all for real, because y'all had a chance to like just give the Browns like more playoff hope. In fact, I'm pretty sure if the Dolphins lost and the Colts lost last week, the Browns probably would have been cool for the playoffs. Y'all mofos, man. Y'all mofos. Really though, that's how y'all gonna lose. That's how y'all gonna lose. That was like the start. You know, I know I said on the main podcast, I don't believe in curses. But I do believe in bad omens, man. Y'all put some bad juju in the world, man. Y'all gave the entire Cleveland fan base a bad vibe when y'all lost, man. Goddamn Raiders. How the hell y'all gonna lose like that for real? Y'all gonna go down like that? Y'all went down like some punks, man. Y'all went down like some punks.
So
how the hell
I wasn't so much confident in the Dolphins as I was sure that the Raiders were going to lose because they're going in again. This is another case of the Raiders going in the wrong direction right now. And I think the Dolphins aren't going in the best
Raiders
direction right now.
outplayed the Dolphins by a mile.
The Raiders are. I don't know what's going on with the Raiders. They're just completely collapsing. I think John Gruden's a good coach, but like, how do you not blame coaching for what's going on? But maybe John Gruden's just a relic of a bygone era. Maybe that's what it is. You know, he was
that game, right?
In the early 2000s.
You see that? Have you seen that game though, right? You see that whole game.
Yeah, no, I watched that game.
How did the Raiders not win that game? How do you not win that game though? Like
because they kept making mistake after mistake after mistake, which, by the way, is exactly what
stupid mistakes. No, oh my God, you get a roughing. Like, first of all, you give up the big game and you give a roughing. Why are you trying to rip the dude's neck off? What is wrong with you? Oh my God, they are so bad. Oh my God,
really bad right now, and the Dolphins. Despite what in general, I think that the whole switching back and forth between Tua and Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to stunt Tua's growth long term. So I don't know if I love what Brian Flores is doing right there, but if his goal is to get to the playoffs this year, then I guess that works. I mean, I would just play Ryan Fitzpatrick full time because he's clearly by far and away the better quarterback here. Um, but if,
Yeah,
if if your goal is to like teach Tua, then why are you even why you keep pulling him for Ryan Fitzpatrick? I don't like that. But I mean, it's getting them wins. But when you play the Raiders the way the Raiders are playing lately, that's not too hard.
yeah. I'm so mad about that game, dude. You don't understand how mad I am.
I didn't have too much
I'm
stake in
like
that
so
game. I
tempted to
was
drop
just
another F bomb, but I'm not because I dropped my F bomb earlier.
I don't think you're on a snap count with F bombs, but you do what you do. We're the guy who actually we're having a guest on for the next podcast. He's a Ravens fan, who was actually going to work with me on a website for a little while, and then some stuff came up and it didn't happen. But it sounds like one of the first questions he asked me when I told him when he was coming on the podcast was he was like, "Do I have to censor myself?" And I'm like, "Not really,
No.
not really. Not me. Me and Thomas don't."
Yeah,
But
I just do it kind of like because I just don't want to be like I do it to an extent because like I just want to be tasteful at least a little bit.
well, right. I mean, we're trying to put
And if
out
it's kind of
quality
like public,
content here, and
yeah,
like you got to use diverse vocabulary in the first place to put out quality content. So if every word coming out of your
yeah. I
mouth is
mean,
like a
shit.
curse word, but at the
I mean,
same time,
shoot,
if
not
you like,
shit. I mean, shit.
right, I feel
I've
like
been drinking.
if
I'm
you
sorry.
just, I feel like if you just completely like don't do it for the sake of not doing it, then that's disingenuous. And I mean, this, like I've said this whole time, this podcast is a very organic thing. This is Kyle Phelps and Thomas Stargell coming at you with the real us here. We're not playing characters. We're not doing this for views. We're doing it because we love it. So you're getting the real us here. So I ain't gonna. I mean, I'll try not to like sound like a sailor, but I mean, you get like I'm not going to censor myself either. All right, so we got a
Fuck
couple
the
more games
Ravens.
we got to talk
There you go.
about,
I've been holding it in. I've been
and
holding it in. I've
it's
been holding it
literally
in. It was on my chest.
every single AFC North game we got to talk about. So let's start with the game
I
that
had to say
I'm sure you're sick and tired of talking about, which is the Browns and the Jets. We both got that
it.
game wrong,
Yeah.
and we both got that game embarrassingly wrong because like when the news came out, by the way, now okay, so I might have considered I wouldn't have, but I might have considered picking the Jets if I had known about that whole COVID situation, but I wouldn't have, and the reason I wouldn't have is the same thing that I said on Facebook and Twitter, which was y'all got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, so I fully believe that you guys it's not going to matter. And then Baker Mayfield threw the ball 53 times.
Maybe Kevin Stefanski was tired.
I guess I don't know.
Dude,
I don't
I
know,
don't got no
but
excuses for that game, honestly. They just lost.
yeah, they just lost. We if you want a more full explanation of our thoughts on that game, go listen to the main podcast because we already got some. We got a lot of thoughts, and Thomas has got a pretty epic rant, so might be worth listening to. Next game on the docket is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Indianapolis Colts. We both thought that the Colts were going to beat them, and damn it, they should have. They were up 24-7 on them early in the third quarter, but the Colts, choked and collapsed, and the Steelers showed that while I still think that they're a little overrated after that 11-0 start, I think the Steelers showed that, hey, they're not a trash team that doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. They're just, they absolutely should not be considered, favorites to go to the Super Bowl or anything like that, but they probably deserve to be in the playoffs.
I'm there thinking about it though, honestly. Like you really think about it though, when you really think about all the teams in the AFC, like the Colts really are the eighth best team. Like I would put the Colts at the 8th best team
Yep.
because, like, another thing that we kind of underestimate on this podcast, and I was thinking about this while I was happening to the Browns. This is karma right here. Um, we made fun of the Browns fans. We made fun of the Ravens when they started losing a lot of games after they had a lot of COVID positive tests. We made fun of the Steelers after they lost a lot of games after their schedule was affected by COVID. I think it goes a long way to say that when you have to reschedule games, you have to reschedule practices, and you got to work around what happens because of COVID, it can make an effect on your team. The Steelers had to play 3 games in 15 days, and they're an older team. So after that, they went on this losing streak. Well, they did play 3 games in 15 days. And like a lot of times, people always say that those are excuses, but I don't think those are excuses. I call those competitive disadvantages. So it's a competitive disadvantage that one team could sleep in one night before, and the other team got to catch a flight at midnight. It's a competitive disadvantage when one team has been practicing since Sunday to prepare for you, and you're starting your game on Wednesday, or Tuesday, as I should say, Tuesday or Wednesday. It's a competitive disadvantage when one team's more rested than the other. One team playing 3 games in 15 days, another team playing 2 games in 21 days. These are competitive disadvantages that were brought upon these teams because of COVID. And I think that we overlook that because we think these players are machines. They're not machines, they're people. And it's very important that these players stay mentally tough and mentally ready. And COVID could throw off that mental toughness or just throw off that mental like sharpness that you have
Well,
because you got to change your schedule. So I don't know.
I agree, but I disagree at the same time because
Mhm.
every team has dealt with COVID this year. To
Yeah.
an extent, not some teams more than others, but every team has been impacted to an extent by COVID this year. The AFC North really got hit hard by COVID. Like every team dealt with a COVID issue. I didn't talk about it much um, uh, at the time because I didn't, I mean, my perspective is like, everybody's dealing with the same issues, everybody's dealing with the same parameters. Yeah, there's variances here and there, but the competitive disadvantage, I don't know. It's still the NFL. You still got to go out. And you got to play hard. And
I mean,
the
nobody
Bengals,
got messed up like the
the
Broncos did.
Bengals had a lot of COVID issues in the middle of the year, like when we played the Browns and when we played the Steelers.
Mhm.
The second time we played the Browns and the first time we played the Steelers, both of those weeks we had some pretty severe COVID issues. We had like basically no actual real cornerbacks. Now part of that was injury related versus the Steelers, and it's like, is that a competitive disadvantage? Yeah, it was, but at the same time, it's just kind of like I still approach that game the way you would approach any game because I mean injuries happen every year, and that's basically what
Yeah.
COVID is. It's just it's an injury that anybody can get at any time unpredictably with no warning. And oh yeah, also injuries are that. Yeah, I did not. I didn't think that was worth talking too much about at the time, and I still don't think it's worth talking about too much now because, like,
Yeah.
yeah, the Steelers got messed up by some COVID issues, but so did the Browns, so did the Ravens, so did the Bengals, so did the Colts, so did the Eagles,
Yeah.
every single team has had COVID issues here and there. Look at the
I
Broncos; they
just
played
think
a whole game without a quarterback.
I think that and this is one of the reasons why I think they're probably going to arrest Roethlisberger, but we'll see. I think that with the Steelers, though, I think one thing about the Steelers that probably threw them off, that whole rescheduling their game 3 time thing, I think that affected their mental clocks to the point where it took them almost 3 weeks to rebound from it. And I think that they're going to start to get back on track, which is scary for the rest of the NFL. But I think my biggest gripe about Steelers is I don't think that Ben Roethlisberger I really wonder how much gas Ben Roethlisberger got in the tank for this year and for the rest of his career, even. And I mean, like if I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm resting him for next week. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Browns fan. I'm saying that, like, dude, like if I'm you and I want Ben Roethlisberger to be the best, I wouldn't put too much strain on that elbow because he's looking like an Asian quarterback. He is looking like an Asian quarterback, man.
I
And but I still think that the Colts is the seventh best team in the AFC, though. I think if you look, or I'm sorry, the eighth best team in the NFC. AFC. I think the Colts are the eighth best team in the AFC. Um, I don't think they're better than Titans. I don't think they're better than the Browns. Don't think they're better than the Ravens. I don't think they're better than Steelers. Definitely not better than the Bills and the Chiefs. So I think the Colts is the eighth best team. They should be a team that missed the playoffs.
well, I think the Colts are really erratic. That's part of their issue. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as Philip Rivers goes, so goes his team so often. But I don't know if I agree with you about the Steelers. I don't. I think they. I mean, every team's got a win in them every once in a while, but this is not a team that I think is going to go on a run in the playoffs. Like maybe they might win their first playoff game. I don't know. I still think they
I
lose
don't
in
think
the
they're
first
going to run
round,
the playoffs, but
but I don't see them going on a run at all. I do not see this as a team that is going to make that much of an impact in the playoffs, personally.
first round exit confirmed.
That's my thought process. Like I said, any team can get hot, and the Steelers did just beat the Colts, and the Colts could make it to the playoffs. They also might not, but
Yeah,
that was essentially a playoff game for the Colts.
yeah.
Maybe not entirely, but that was essentially a simulated playoff game, and I think the Steelers did show up. Unlike I didn't think they would, and they didn't for the first half. They didn't until basically they had no other option.
They found Jesus.
They found Jesus.
I'm
So
sorry, I'm
next
degenerate.
game that you got wrong, you thought that the Ravens were going to beat or you thought the Giants were going to beat the Ravens, and that no Thomas, no
We
no.
gotta stop drinking beer during this podcast. This is what we gotta stop doing because I've been going through these.
Yeah, you might have been kind of drunk when you made that prediction. I don't know because okay, so like it wasn't the greatest game I've ever seen from the Ravens, but even so, it was there was no chance for that. Like the Ravens kind of came out a little lackluster this week. They didn't have a 100-yard rusher. Lamar Jackson didn't throw for didn't even make it over the 200-yard mark. Um, the Daniel Jones outperformed Lamar Jackson. That's just that Giants running game couldn't do anything. Um, but yeah, the even with the Ravens not having their best game, it wasn't ever close. I mean, like the final score was 27-13, but that's only because the Giants got like a touchdown late in the game. Like what was it like early in the fourth quarter, like 8:40 left in the fourth quarter. The Giants scored a touchdown to make it 13-27. Before that, it was 27-6. Like this game was never close, and the Giants were never going to win this game. And it was a bad matchup. It was a bad. It wasn't even a very good game to watch, to be quite frank.
Well, I want to say this though. I think the Giants probably would have won another game or two if they had Saquon Barkley. Because Daniel Jones really don't look that bad, honestly. Like they might got something in Daniel Jones. I wouldn't shop for a new quarterback. I would stick with Daniel Jones and see if I can grow him. It's only the second year. He's really not that bad. Him or Drew Luck for real. Shout out to Drew Luck. I think I really like the Daniel Jones project. What's the name of the coach for the Giants again?
Joe Judge.
Yeah, Joe Judge. He said there's an article about Joe Judge. He talks about why he thinks that Daniel Jones is the franchise quarterback and the quarterback for the future for the Giants. And I can see it, man. I can see it. When the Giants is a patient, well-run organization, I think they'll find a way to develop Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones is fine. I thought he was a bit of a reach at number 8. I thought that was a pretty awful decision at the time, but now Daniel Jones is all right, and it's like you already invested all that
Better than
capital
Dwayne
into
Haskins.
him, so you might as well, might as well ride with him. It's kind of like a it's almost kind of like a Mitch Trubisky situation. It's like like is he good? No, but he's not so bad that you can't work with him. Sometimes it seems that way,
Might
and
be a playoff
sometimes it seems
quarterback.
that way for Daniel Jones. But on the whole, it's like you can win around him. He's not going to win you any games, but you can win around him.
He might be a playoff quarterback.
At 6-10, Jesus.
The AFC, the NFC East.
Yeah. So,
Oh my God.
the last game that we need to talk about, I did not think that the Cincinnati Bengals would beat the Houston Texans. And I was right about my reasoning, sort of. I was right that
Yeah,
Deshaun Watson is scary and he's going to hurt the Bengals, and the Bengals are going to be very sad boys after this game, at least from a
I
defensive
like how you said
perspective.
that.
And they were. The Bengals defense looked like mostly crap against the Texans offense, and Deshaun Watson did Deshaun Watson things all over the Bengals defense. They did finally come through in the end with a clutch fumble recovery, but outside of that, it was a very bad game for the Bengals defense, and they probably would have lost if it wasn't for that fumble recovery at the end. Brandon Allen played great, and I think Brandon Allen has solidified himself as the long-term backup quarterback behind Joe Burrow, because he's playing.
Congratulations, Brett Allen.
Yeah, he's
You have
playing pretty
solidified your
well.
stuff as the backup.
Who knows? He
Yo,
might end up being one of those quarterbacks like AJ McCarron, who ends up playing well behind a starter and then like tricks some team into giving him some money to go be a starter for them, and then ends up not doing very well. Like that
yeah,
always
I was
happens
thinking the
every
same thing,
single time.
honestly. Or maybe we might become something. What if we become something? Wouldn't that be something?
That would be impressive.
What if we go to the Steelers?
I, I don't see that happening. I don't see him
Yo,
being a
all right.
great starter
So,
in the NFL. But
first of all, can I go back to something you said earlier? You was like, Deshaun Watson is scary. That was just kind of funny how you said that, because Deshaun Watson,
he makes me
Deshaun
sad.
Watson,
Watching him play the Bengals makes me sad, but the fact that we won makes me happy. So credit.
Deshaun Watson, run defense, run,
Exactly.
I mean, y'all did just enough, man, because like the dysfunction with the Texans is real, man. Like, I don't know how you have a quarterback that great and be that bad, because your organization is in dysfunction right now. Junction. What's dysfunction?
Well, again, the defense is very bad, and at times they're opportunistic, and that's great and all. But for the most part, they really do not inspire any confidence. They did great against the Steelers, but that's really not that hard right now. But outside of that, Lou Anarumo's defense has just not looked good. And the Bengals are going to finish the season on a high note. Even if we don't beat the Ravens, it's gonna be kind of a feel good end of the season, because
Yeah.
we finished going on a little bit of a run there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still going to be at best 5-10-1, and that can't be acceptable. So my hope is that the Brown family looks at Zach Taylor and they're like, all right, Zach, we're going to give you another year because, you showed us something, and, we want to prove that, we're going to give people chances, being the head coach and whatnot, but you're going to have to get rid of somebody. Somebody's going to have to be the fall boy here. And I think Lou Anarumo is going to be it, because he just has to be, man. Like, this defense this defense should be better, and they're just not. Now there's been a lot of injuries, I get it, but man, you got to be putting up some sort of more consistent performance than this. And Lou Anarumo just he wasn't a very inspiring hire when we made it. We basically made it because nobody else wanted. Like we kept getting turned down for the position because nobody wanted to come coach with the Bengals as the defensive coordinator at the time. Um, and we basically took Lou Anarumo because he was the only one to actually fucking take it. Um, but I would say right now, just because of the free agency moves we've been making, because we've got Joe Burrow, because Zach Taylor's been flashing the ability to be a good play caller, and a good manager of at least one side of the ball, and the fact that we can actually win. Um, I mean, you can't tell me that somebody wouldn't be willing to come and give it a shot. And you know who I actually think would be a great guy to pick up as the defensive coordinator, who I think would actually be a really smart decision to come here, is Mike Zimmer. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get fired, but I am saying the
Kind of
Vikings
are.
could easily be 6-10 after potentially being a playoff team.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
things have just not been going great with the Vikings. Things have been getting kind of stale there, and especially with the way this season kind of ended. Who knows what the Vikings are going to do? I mean, I hope he keeps his job because I like Mike Zimmer and I want him to have great things. But if he doesn't, he lives in Northern Kentucky. He already lives here. So
That'd be a good hire, man. That'd be a
yeah,
great hire for the
why
Bengals.
not? Because I mean, our defense was the best in probably our entire franchise history when Mike Zimmer was our defensive coordinator. So why not bring him back as a defensive coordinator and also kind of give a little nudge, nudge, wink, wink, like hey, who we don't really know if Zach Taylor's going to work out, man. So you know that whole thing where we were going to make you the head coach after Marvin Lewis, and then you ended up getting a head coaching job somewhere else. Well, hey, you want to come back and maybe have that opportunity again? You can come coach here, get to know the guys, and then maybe Zach Taylor gets fired, and maybe you get the head coaching job after that. Like, I don't know, it seems like such a win-win, and unless obviously if he gets another head coaching job somewhere, then at that point, yeah, he's not going to come here and be our defensive coordinator. But I don't know. I think if all he's got are defensive coordinator offers, then I think coming back to Cincinnati would be a really smart move for him, and it'd be an extremely smart move for the Bengals, who are bringing in a veteran defensive coordinator who can kind of help Zach manage things and kind of provide some old guy wisdom that we really kind of lack on this team. Experience.
My team needs a better defense still. For
Do
being
it.
real with you, the Browns defense ain't all of that.
Yeah.
Browns defense ain't nothing. And this
Well, I
alcohol
will
really
say I
got
don't
me
think
saying
y'all are going to be
something.
firing anybody with a
I don't
double-digit
get
win
fired all
season.
the cuss words I'm saying on this podcast. Man, I don't think Zach. Man, first of all, let me say this though. You take Shanahan out of Atlanta collapse. You take a guy who have a very similar concept. In fact, this very same offensive style, and Kevin Stefanski out of the Vikings, and they just look horrible the next year.
Yeah.
I wonder, and never mind. It's kind of should you all? It kind of begs the question: would you rather hire an offensive minded coach or a defensive minded coach?
Well, right now, offensive coaches are winning the day. But
Yeah.
see, the thing is, the NFL kind of tends to go in like waves. So
Mm-hmm.
if I had to bet, the next big wave is going to be a defensive one.
Yeah,
Because
look at
right
Brian
now you're going
Flores.
through an offensive wave. You've got all these amazing high flying offenses, and eventually that's gonna have to be balanced. Somebody's gonna figure out how to stop a lot of these offenses, and somebody's going to be this great defensive mastermind, and the swing's gonna go right back to defense. That's typically the way that it's gone over the years. Like in the 90s, defense was big. The way you won championships. In the 2000s,
Yep.
offenses started kind of becoming a big thing again. In the 2010s, it kind of started swinging back toward defense, but near the end of it started swinging back toward offense. Um, in the 80s were big for offense, but the 70s were really big for defense. The 60s, you had Joe Namath and a lot of those f- for the time high flying offenses, and then 50s and beyond. So if I had to bet, a defensive surge, like a defensive revival, is going to be coming for the NFL relatively soon. It's just, is it going to happen next year? I don't know about that. Do you want to go get the defensive guy now? Maybe not. Maybe wait a couple of years.
I think for the 49ers, the coach, defensive coordinator for the 49ers, what's his name? Brian Salom. I think he's gonna get a head coaching job within the next year or two. And I think he's gonna be a really good coach. I think he's gonna be a good coach.
Oh,
I think
Robert
he's gonna be a
Saleh?
really good coach. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
he's
he's gonna
good.
be
I like him. I like him, and I like Brendan Staley from the Rams.
I think well a lot of times defensive coach, man, they're good at, keeping the team disciplined, and they can be a CEO of the team, and they're we'll see what happens. A lot of people are saying that special team coordinators will make good coaches out of left field. So
Well, that remains to be seen. I mean, Joe Judge has done all right, but outside of that, there's never really been. I mean, like John Harbaugh is a
yeah,
good one, but I mean, like that's one guy in like decades. And then,
I don't
like I
think
said, you
I
got
don't
Joe
think
Judge
so.
is doing all right now,
I'm just
but
saying that people are trying. Like they're people are thinking outside the
Darren,
boxes. They're trying to.
our special teams coach, Darren Simmons, I think would make a good head coach, or at least a solid head coach. I don't necessarily want them to be the Bengals head coach, but if like for example, if he went down to like Jacksonville and became the coach down there, I think he could succeed. But I also hope he
Yeah.
doesn't because I think he's a really good special teams coordinator, and I want him to stay here.
The special teams coordinator for Chiefs, he makes a lot of noise for some reason. There's that. But anyway, yeah, Ryan Salah. I think Ryan Salah is going to be a really good coach when he get hired eventually in a year or two. They almost picked him for the Browns job.
Yep.
He was one of the finalists. It was either him or Stefanski. I
Yep.
think we made the right choice.
I think you guys made a good choice. I think I think eventually I mean I loved the Zach Taylor hire at the time. I think over time he's kind of very slowly showing why the Bengals hired him. It's just and he's going to be a good head coach in the NFL one day. It's just the question is, does he get it together fast enough for the Bengals to keep investing in him? And maybe, I mean, if they go on a run next year, they don't even have to. I don't even think they have to make the playoffs next year. I think they just have to show that they're competitive and working towards being a playoff team. Now, I will say, I think next year the playoff window opens. I think they should be a playoff team next year, but do they need to make the playoffs next year for him to keep his job? I don't know. I think as long as they're making a push toward it, as
I
long as
don't think
there's
the AFC is
consistent
going to be as
improvement
tough as it
every
is
year.
next year as it is this year. I mean, this is a anomaly year. It's going to be a while before we see a top heavy. I mean, unless this is going to become a norm in AFC, I don't think the AFC is going to be this top heavy next year.
No, usually top heavy things kind of have a tendency to collapse. Not
Yeah.
to mention you're going to get one of those teams, the Jacksonville Jaguars, kind of looks like a team that's ready to start. Like with a couple of pieces, they could potentially start doing interesting things. One of the pieces that they're gonna get is Trevor Lawrence. So that could flip. The Jets have shown, I think, if they had a better coach, maybe they would be a little bit more competitive. The Broncos were supposed to be a playoff team this year before they got all the injuries and stuff. Justin Herbert's playing, at a level that if the Chargers can put a team around him, then they're going to be doing. So, I mean, like, yeah, I agree. Like the AFC in general, I think within a couple of years could completely collapse in on itself and flip as far as who's dominating. And I think the fact that the Browns are getting ahead of it early works out for you guys pretty well. About the only team I
Yeah.
think that's not going to collapse is the Chiefs.
The Chiefs, man, we're in the midst of a dynasty.
Yep. Well, we're at the beginning of a dynasty. It hasn't happened yet, but the second Patrick Mahomes wins a second Super Bowl with the Chiefs is the second that I start telling people that, well, I hope you enjoyed briefly not having a dynasty while it lasted, but you know, Patriots dynasty's gone, but on comes the Chiefs dynasty, guys. Be ready for it.
Man, the Chiefs are gonna make the Patriots dynasty look silly, man. Come on, like
Maybe.
I'm real sorry the Browns pick waited this long to get good because the Chiefs about to do some Chicago Bulls 1990 shit, man. Shoot, they hear about it all in the 20s, man. Unless the Browns or somebody else just pop up out of nowhere, man. It, dude, come
The
on,
Bengals.
man. Patrick Mahomes
Bengals.
hasn't even reached his prime yet.
Joe
Let
Burrow and
that
Patrick
sink in.
Mahomes are about to be the next. Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes are about to be the next, like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers.
Possibly, man. But Joe, man, freaking Patrick Mahomes haven't even reached his prime yet, though, man. That
Yep.
dude, man, he.
Well, anyway, I think
Oh
we've gone.
boy,
I think
man,
I think
we
we've gone a
ain't ever
little
gonna win
bit.
a Super Bowl.
I think we've gone a little bit long on this episode of the predictions recap. So, yeah, like I said, I'm 12 games behind Thomas, so it's going to be an interesting week 17. And we'll kind of restart things for the playoffs and see how things kind of work there. But not down and out yet. I beat him by 2 this week. I'm just going to have to beat him by 12 next week, and that seems pretty unlikely. But you never know in week 17. Week 17 is insane because you got teams resting starters, you got teams coming out of nowhere, you got spoilers happening. I mean, week 17 is one of the most erratic years or most erratic weeks of any year. So, but anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to listen to the main podcast, and you know where to find me at Kyle Phelps 92 on Twitter and Facebook.com/the Phelps. You can find Thomas at T_Star94 on Facebook and Instagram, and he's doing live streams there every once in a while, so that's maybe worth going over there to check out. And
Yeah.
don't forget to check out his YouTube channel, Blowdown page. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you on the when we make our Week 17 predictions in a couple of days.